Breaking tonight. The headline nobody wanted to read, but everybody is secretly clicking on. Doctors have confirmed that King Harris may never wake up. Yes, you heard that right. The family's hope officially shattered. But wait, is this just a tragic twist of fate, or is there something darker hiding behind the hospital curtains? Ask yourself this. How does the son of rap royalty, who's been flaunting his wild lifestyle on every corner of the internet, suddenly end up in a situation so grim that doctors are whispering the word forever? Coincidence? Or karma knocking at the door? Social media is already exploding. Tweets, TikToks, and shady Reddit threads are painting a picture so chaotic you'd think it's ripped straight from a Netflix documentary. He had it coming. Some trolls laugh. Others cry foul play. But here's the chilling part. Anonymous insiders are hinting that what we're seeing is only the surface. So buckle up, because this isn't just a story about a hospital bed. It's about power, money, betrayal, and the shocking downfall of someone who thought he was untouchable. And trust me, by the end, you'll be asking yourself, was King Harris doomed from the start? They say fame can buy you everything except peace of mind. But in King Harris's case, it looks like it didn't even buy him protection. Imagine being born into hip-hop royalty, having every door in the world open for you, and still ending up in a hospital bed where doctors are whispering words so heavy that even his own family can't hold back tears. King Harris, the son of T.I. and Tiny, was supposed to be the untouchable prince of Atlanta's rap dynasty. Instead, he's become the center of a nightmare so dark, so twisted, that people are questioning whether this is just another tragic accident or something far more sinister. Because let's be real, controversy has followed King Harris like a shadow. From viral clips of him fighting in restaurants, to Instagram lives where he's talking reckless about people twice his age, King has built a reputation as the wild child of the Harris family. The type of kid who loves chaos, feeds on attention, and always finds himself trending for all the wrong reasons. And now, those same antics that once got him clout are being replayed by critics as evidence that trouble was always waiting around the corner. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. This isn't just about King making bad choices. No, insiders are already whispering about late-night parties, shady entourages, and questionable deals that King had no business being a part of. One source close to the Harris circle said, he thought he was grown. He thought he could move like the OGs, but he wasn't ready for the snakes that come with that life. And when you hear statements like that, you can't help but wonder, was King's downfall written long before this hospital tragedy? Social media detectives are piecing together a timeline, and the dots are connecting in ways that make your skin crawl. Days before he ended up in critical condition, King was allegedly spotted with a crew known for their connections to the underground party scene, the type of people whose names never hit the headlines unless there's a scandal. Photos, grainy videos, and cryptic captions are now resurfacing, and the narrative they tell isn't pretty. King wasn't just out having fun, he was surrounded by people who thrive in chaos. People who have nothing to lose, and people who, according to some insiders, may have seen him as a pawn in a much larger game in the family. Broken doesn't even begin to describe it. T.I., a man who's built an entire career off controlling the narrative and protecting his empire, suddenly looks powerless. Tiny, usually the one who tries to keep the family image polished, has been described by sources as inconsolable. Imagine being parents who built a legacy only to watch your son lying in a bed, with doctors saying the words you prayed you'd never hear, he may never wake up. But of course, the internet isn't kind. While the family is praying for a miracle, Twitter trolls are dragging up every clip of King acting reckless. Didn't he say he wanted to live like a gangster? Well, gangsters don't always get happy endings. One user posted, racking up thousands of likes. Harsh, absolutely. But this is the brutal reality of fame in the digital age. Your lowest moment isn't private. It's entertainment for millions. Now here's the part that should scare you. While fans argue about karma, anonymous insiders are suggesting that what happened to King may not have been just some random medical emergency. Rumors are swirling about substances, pressure from older influences, and even whispers of someone wanting to teach him a lesson. One supposed leak claims that he was set up. Plain and simple, people wanted to humble him. And now look what's happened. And let's not forget, King has made enemies. Not just random internet haters, but real-life people in Atlanta's streets who didn't take kindly to his tough talk and bravado. When you're the son of a legend, your words carry weight, sometimes too much. And when you mix that with King's fiery personality, it's a recipe for disaster. Was this hospital tragedy the result of years of unchecked arrogance finally catching up to him? Or did someone, somewhere, pull strings to make sure he paid the price for his behavior? As dramatic as it sounds, this isn't the first time the Harris family has been rocked by controversy. T.I. himself has faced scandals ranging from legal troubles to explosive public feuds. Tiny hasn't been immune either, with cheating rumors and messy public drama. The Harris brand has always walked a fine line between glamorous celebrity and messy reality TV dysfunction. And King, well, he became the poster child for that chaos, whether he liked it or not. In fact, One viral clip that's making the rounds right now shows King getting into a heated argument with his father, insisting that he didn't want to live like a regular person. He wanted the spotlight, the danger, the fame, and now, in the cruelest twist possible, that desire has landed him in the exact position every parent fears. Some are even calling it poetic justice. But poetic or not, it's devastating. The hospital, of course, is on lockdown. Fans are camped outside, paparazzi are lurking, and staff are leaking tiny details to gossip blogs for quick cash. We're talking about a circus where tragedy has turned into profit, where every drip of information gets sold and twisted into a headline. Doctors losing hope, family collapsing, T.I. caught screaming at staff. These are the stories flooding the internet, but how much of it is true? And how much of it is manufactured chaos designed to feed the narrative? Because if there's one thing we know about the Harris family, it's that nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Behind every photo op smile, there's drama brewing. Behind every polished Instagram post, there's tension ready to explode. And this time, the stakes are higher than ever. King Harris's life, his very future, hangs in the balance. And the world is watching like it's their favorite TV show. Popcorn in hand, waiting for the next plot twist. And just when you think the circus couldn't get any wilder, leaks start pouring out from every corner. Screenshots of supposed confidential medical updates appear on shady blogs, complete with blurred-out hospital documents and claims that King's condition is worse than what the family is letting on. One anonymous tipster went so far as to say, "They don't want y'all to know the truth. This ain't no accident. This was a setup, and the doctors are being pressured to keep it quiet." Sounds insane, right? But when has insanity ever stopped the internet from believing a story? Now, let's peel back the layers. If you rewind a few weeks before King's hospitalization, there were whispers of him getting involved in what sources call dangerous circles. The kind of people who smile in your face while stabbing you in the back. Lavish parties, expensive cars, and cash flowing like water. On the surface, it looks glamorous. But insiders insist it was more like a trap, a lifestyle designed to reel him in, chew him up, and spit him out. One friend of a friend even spilled to a gossip blog that King had been flashing wads of cash at private gatherings, bragging about his untouchable status as T.I.'s son, and if there's one thing the streets don't like, it's a cocky young kid waving money in faces while acting like he's above the rules. Combine that arrogance with the envy of people who have nothing to lose, and suddenly the idea of a lesson being taught doesn't seem far-fetched. Meanwhile, the public is eating it up. Twitter threads are dissecting every frame of King's past Instagram lives. TikTok creators are stitching old clips where King mocked regular life, now adding captions like, "So you wanted the gangster life? Well, here it is." The cruelty is staggering, but cruelty sells. These videos rack up millions of views overnight, turning tragedy into entertainment, pain into profit, tragedy into entertainment, pain into profit. But here's where things get darker. A supposed leaked voice note, allegedly from a nurse inside the hospital, has gone viral. In it, you hear a voice whisper, "They told us not to write everything in the official report. Too much pressure from the top." Of course, skeptics say it's fake. But believers, they're already connecting it to a conspiracy theory that someone with influence is covering up the real cause of King's condition. Drugs, violence, a staged attack. Nobody knows for sure, but the mystery alone is enough to keep the internet hooked. And the Harris family, they're cracking under the spotlight. Paparazzi claim T.I. has been lashing out at reporters, screaming at them to back off. Tiny, on the other hand, has been spotted leaving the hospital in tears, shielding her face from cameras. Their silence only fuels speculation, because when celebrities don't talk, the internet fills in the blanks with whatever wild theory fits best. But don't think this is just an online circus. Real consequences are brewing behind the scenes. Rumors of law enforcement sniffing around, checking into King's last known whereabouts, the people he was with, and what really went down that night are spreading like wildfire. A so-called investigation is already being hinted at in local gossip circles. Did someone spike his drink? Did someone lure him into a setup? Or did King push himself too far trying to live up to the reckless image he cultivated online? And just to add more gasoline to the fire, a fake exclusive report surfaced claiming that surveillance footage exists of King stumbling out of a party before everything went downhill. The clip hasn't been verified, but that hasn't stopped it from going viral. People are replaying grainy screenshots like detectives, zooming in and circling blurry figures, convinced they've uncovered proof of foul play. But while the internet argues, the hospital remains silent. No official updates, no press conferences, just vague statements about critical condition and uncertain outcomes, which, let's be honest, only adds fuel to the conspiracy. Because if the situation was straightforward, why the secrecy? Why the silence? Why the carefully worded phrases instead of the truth? Some fans are heartbroken. "He's just a kid." One viral comment reads, "He made mistakes, but nobody deserves this." Others are merciless. "This is what happens when you think fame makes you invincible." Another post declared, And then there are the opportunists, the YouTubers, TikTokers, and gossip accounts, pumping out endless content, milking every rumor for clicks and cash. It's exploitation disguised as concern, and it's working. But let's not ignore the money trail. Behind every tragedy in the celebrity world, there's a financial angle. And right now, insiders claim the Harris brand is hemorrhaging. Canceled appearances, halted projects, brand deals on pause. Some even whisper that certain investors are quietly distancing themselves, unwilling to be tied to the bad press surrounding King's name. If he never wakes up, the long-term damage to the Harris empire could be catastrophic. And you better believe there are people, rivals, haters, even so-called friends who wouldn't mind seeing that empire crumble. Anonymous sources are also claiming the family is already bracing for the worst. Talk of private meetings, whispered goodbyes, and lawyers being pulled in behind closed doors. They're preparing for both outcomes. One insider claimed, miracle or tragedy, either way, they're setting the stage for what comes next. The idea alone sends shivers down your spine. Because imagine being in that hospital room, looking at your child, and realizing hope is slipping through your fingers. Yet, through all this, one thing is clear. The King Harris saga isn't just about a young man in critical condition. It's a mirror of fame itself, how quickly the world builds you up and how mercilessly it tears you down. He wanted the spotlight, and now the spotlight refuses to let him go, even as he fights for his life. The cliffhanger grows heavier by the hour. Every silence feels louder, every rumor feels more believable, and every tear shed by the Harris family feels like a headline waiting to happen. The question on everyone's mind isn't just will King Harris wake up, it's if he does, will he ever be the same? And if he doesn't, what secrets will die with him? The air inside that hospital room had become heavier than chains. Every beep from the monitor sounded like a countdown. Every silence in between felt like the edge of the world. King Harris, once the loudest voice in any room, was now reduced to whispers of survival, his fate tangled between hope and despair. The family sat in rotation, some praying, some crying, and some just staring into space as if answers would fall from the ceiling. But answers never came. Only rumors did, and in the world of celebrities, rumors spread faster than truth ever could. The internet was alive with theories. Some said this wasn't an accident at all. Anonymous posts claimed King had been targeted, set up by rivals who envied his growing spotlight. Others swore that industry elites wanted him silenced because he was about to expose something huge. Wild claims about secret contracts, unpaid debts, and even an Illuminati initiation gone wrong flooded every comment section. People didn't just see King lying in that bed, they saw a storyline that confirmed every conspiracy they already believed. And the worst part, the Harris family couldn't escape any of it. Their grief had become a public circus. Meanwhile, doctors kept giving updates that sounded less like hope and more like resignation. Minimal neurological response. High probability of permanent coma. Family should prepare for difficult decisions. Each phrase was a dagger. Fans clung to any scraps of positivity, but inside those sterile walls, the reality was brutal. Nurses whispered that the family was considering moving King to a private facility away from cameras and leaks. But the cost alone was staggering even for a family like the Harrises. The money talk brought another storm. Online, watchdogs accused the family of using King's tragedy as a publicity stunt. They pointed out that TI's streams had mysteriously spiked since the hospitalization, and Tiny was suddenly booked for more interviews than usual. They're cashing in on their son's coma. One viral tweet read, racking up millions of impressions. The accusation stung, but in the digital age, outrage was currency, and people spent it recklessly. As the noise grew, another shadow entered the picture: legal investigations. Anonymous insiders claimed authorities were quietly digging into the night of King's collapse. Questions about substances, reckless behavior, and who was really present began to swirl. A friend of a friend told bloggers that there was security footage showing King arguing violently hours before being found unconscious. Suddenly, what began as a tragedy was painted as a crime scene, and whispers of charges against unnamed individuals. It echoed louder each day. The family's unity began to fracture under the spotlight. Some relatives begged to shield King from the public eye, to stop feeding the media frenzy. Others believed silence would only make things worse, insisting that sharing updates was the only way to control the narrative. T.I., always protective of his image, clashed with those who wanted transparency, leading to explosive arguments behind closed doors. At one point, it was leaked that two family members nearly came to blows over whether to allow cameras into the hospital. But perhaps the cruelest blow came from the fans themselves. One moment they trended hashtag pray for King, the next they turned savage. Old clips resurfaced of King mocking people, flexing arrogance, and starting fights. And suddenly the sympathy turned into debates. Why should we pray for someone who spent years disrespecting others? Critics spat, while supporters defended him as just a kid who lost his way. So Media didn't feel like a place of mourning anymore, it felt like a gladiator arena where King's legacy was being ripped apart, piece by piece. He was being ripped apart, piece by piece. Still, despite the chaos, there were flickers of humanity. A leaked audio clip allegedly captured Tiny singing softly to her son in his hospital room, her voice cracking as she begged him to wake up. That one recording melted hearts, turning skeptics into believers again. If only for a moment. People wanted a miracle, not just for King, but for themselves, to prove that life could still surprise them with something good after so much loss and cynicism. And then came the chilling twist. Late one night, a nurse reported that King's eyelids fluttered ever so slightly during a test. It wasn't full consciousness, but it was enough to send shockwaves through the staff. When the news leaked online, hope roared back to life, fierce and desperate. But doctors were quick to pour cold water on the fire, calling it involuntary reflex. To the world outside, though it was already too late, the narrative had shifted again. People were convinced King was fighting to come back. The Harris family now stood at a crossroads. Were they on the brink of a miracle, or were they prisoners of false hope? Could they trust science, or should they cling to faith? The cameras, the critics, the conspiracies, none of them could answer the only question that mattered. And as another day ended with King Harris silent in that hospital bed, the world was left staring into the abyss of uncertainty, wondering if this story was building toward redemption, or the most devastating ending imaginable. And now we're left standing at the edge of a story that feels bigger than music, bigger than fame, bigger than any headline could ever capture. King Harris isn't just another celebrity in a hospital bed, he's become the center of a storm that questions everything: loyalty, family, fame, and the price of living life like nothing can touch you. So I'll ask you this: what do you believe? Is King Harris really fighting his way back, trapped somewhere between silence and survival? Or have the doctors already told us the truth that no one wants to face? Do you think this is a tragic accident, or is there something darker hidden in the shadows of that night? The internet will keep spinning its conspiracies. Anonymous sources will keep leaking whispers. But at the end of the day, it's not about the headlines, it's about whether or not King's story ends here, or if he shocks the world one last time by waking up when everyone's already given up. Drop your thoughts below, because this isn't just news, it's history unfolding in real time. Don't just scroll past. Like this video if you want the truth to keep breaking. Share it if you think people deserve to hear what's really happening. And smash that subscribe button so you never miss another moment like this. Because here, we don't just watch the drama, we live it. And trust me, the next twist, it's going to leave you speechless.